Imagine you are floating in silence. No wind, no sound, just the distant glow of something beautiful ahead of you, a swirling masterpiece of color stretching wider than Earth itself. Bands of gold, crimson, and pale white curl across its surface like a living painting. It's mesmerizing, peaceful even, and then you realize you are falling into it. Jupiter fills your entire vision now. A giant so massive it could swallow every planet in the solar system and still have room left over. Its clouds look soft, almost gentle, like you could drift into them and disappear. But something is wrong. There is no ground, no surface, no place to land, only deeper and deeper and deeper. And then it hits you. There is nowhere to stop. At first, the descent feels almost calm. You drift into the upper atmosphere, where sunlight still reaches through the clouds. The colors around you glow, amber, orange, white, like a sunset that never ends. The clouds swirl slowly, lazily, as if nothing here could ever harm you. It's beautiful, too beautiful. But here's the problem. Those clouds are not soft. They are made of ammonia crystals and toxic gases, moving faster than any storm you've ever seen on Earth. Winds here don't howl. They scream, tearing across the planet at over 400 miles per hour. You're already being pushed, dragged sideways, pulled into currents you cannot fight. And this is only the beginning. As you sink lower, the light begins to fade. The colors darken, the gold becomes brown, the whites turn into thick, suffocating gray. The atmosphere thickens around you, pressing against your body like an invisible ocean. Breathing becomes impossible. Not because there's no oxygen, but because the air itself is poison. Ammonia burns your lungs. Hydrogen and helium offer nothing to sustain you. Every breath you try to take only brings you closer to suffocation. But it gets worse. The pressure is building, slowly at first, almost unnoticeable. Then suddenly, your body feels heavier, your chest tightens. Every inch of you is being squeezed. And you realize something terrifying. You are being crushed by air. On Earth, pressure builds underwater. Here, the sky itself is the ocean, and you are sinking. 1,000 miles down, the storms begin. Not storms like Earth's hurricanes. Something far more violent lightning explodes around you. Not in thin streaks, but in massive, blinding bursts that stretch across entire continents. Each strike is powerful enough to vaporize anything it touches. The clouds churn violently now. You are no longer drifting, you are tumbling, spun in every direction as the atmosphere tears itself apart. And this is where things change. Because now the temperature starts rising, fast. At first, it's just uncomfortable. Then it becomes unbearable. Then it becomes deadly. Hundreds of degrees, then thousands. The deeper you go, the hotter it gets, until the very concept of surviving becomes meaningless. Your skin would blister, your blood would boil, your body would break down molecule by molecule. But that's not even the worst part, because Jupiter isn't just crushing you, it's transforming around you. As you fall deeper, the gas thickens into something else. Something heavier, something alien. The hydrogen around you begins to change under the immense pressure. It stops behaving like a gas, or even a liquid. It becomes metal, liquid metallic hydrogen, an ocean of it, a vast, endless sea of conductive fluid stretching thousands of miles deep. If you were somehow still alive at this point, you wouldn't be floating anymore. You'd be sinking into a metallic abyss. And this is where Jupiter reveals its true horror. Because this ocean isn't still, it's moving, violently, generating something invisible, but far more deadly than anything you've faced so far. A magnetic field. But not like Earth's. Jupiter's magnetic field is the most powerful in the entire solar system. It is so strong that it traps radiation in massives around the planet, creating a kill zone that would destroy a human in minutes. And you're inside it now. But here's the problem. You don't see it happening. Radiation doesn't burn, it doesn't make a sound. It simply tears you apart at the atomic level. Your DNA unravels, your cells collapse, your nervous system begins to fail. If you could feel it, it would already be too late. NASA knows this. When the Juno spacecraft was sent to Jupiter, engineers had to build it like a tank, shielding its electronics from radiation that could fry it instantly. Even then, they knew it wouldn't last forever. And you were never built to survive this. But it gets worse, because deeper still, something even more extreme is waiting. You are now thousands of miles below the clouds. No light reaches here, no color exists. Only pressure, only heat, only force. And somewhere below you, a core. A region so dense, so extreme, that scientists aren't even sure what it truly is. Maybe a solid center. Maybe something stranger, a compressed mass of elements crushed beyond recognition. But one thing is certain. The gravity here is overwhelming, and this is where your fall truly ends. Because you're not just falling anymore, you are being pulled apart. Jupiter's gravity doesn't just hold you down, it stretches you. Your feet are pulled harder than your head. Your body elongates, thins, distorts, until you are no longer human. A process scientists call spaghettification, but the name doesn't capture the reality. You are being torn into strands, pulled into nothing, atom by atom. And just before everything ends, just before you disappear completely, you realize something horrifying. This place was never meant to be seen, never meant to be touched, never meant to be survived. But that's not even the worst place in our solar system. Not even close, because Jupiter, for all its violence, still gives you time. Time to fall, time to feel, time to understand what's happening. There are places out there where you wouldn't even get that. Imagine you are standing on solid ground again. For the first time, you feel something beneath your feet. It's cold, silent, still. Above you, the sky stretches out in perfect darkness, scattered with distant stars. In the distance, a massive striped planet hangs in the sky. Saturn, surrounded by its glowing rings like a celestial crown, and everything feels calm, peaceful, almost safe. But something is wrong. The ground beneath you is ice, and it's not just frozen water. It's harder than rock, sharper than glass, cold enough to freeze your lungs the moment you try to breathe. You are standing on Titan, Saturn's largest moon, a world that looks strangely familiar and completely alien at the same time. At first glance, Titan feels like Earth. It has rivers, lakes, rain, even clouds drifting lazily across the sky. But here's the problem. None of it is water. The rivers are liquid methane. The lakes are filled with hydrocarbons. And the rain? It would fall through you like freezing fuel, soaking everything in a chemical cold so intense it doesn't just chill. It stops motion itself. Because here, the temperature sits at around -179. C-179 bore C, cold enough to freeze not just your skin, but your thoughts. Every breath you try to take turns painful. The air is thick with nitrogen, dense and heavy, pressing into your lungs. But there's no oxygen, no warmth, no life as you know it, and yet it feels survivable for a moment. And this is where things change. Because Titan doesn't kill you quickly, it lets you stay. It lets you feel it. Your body begins to slow, your muscles stiffen. Your movements become sluggish, like you're trapped inside your own skin. Heat bleeds from you instantly, stolen by the freezing atmosphere. Your fingers stop responding. Your vision blurs. But that's not even the worst part. Your mind is still awake, still aware, still watching as your body shuts down piece by piece. NASA sent the Huygens probe here in 2005. It descended through Titan's thick orange haze, drifting slowly down for over 2 hours before landing on the surface. And what it found was haunting channels carved into the ground, shorelines. What looked like the memory of a world that almost became Earth, but didn't, a failed twin, a frozen echo, and you are standing inside it. But here's the problem. Titan is just the illusion of danger. A slow death, a quiet one. There are places in our solar system that don't give you time to freeze. They don't give you time to think. They don't give you time to feel anything at all. And one of them is watching you right now. You look up. Saturn's rings stretch across the sky like a blade made of light. Beautiful, thin, fragile looking, but they are anything but. Each ring is made of billions of fragments, ice and rock, some as small as dust, others as large as mountains, racing around the planet at tens of thousands of miles per hour. If you were to drift into them, you wouldn't pass through. You would be shredded, instantly. But it gets worse, because Saturn isn't just surrounded by danger, it creates it. Its gravity shapes everything nearby, pulling, stretching, destabilizing anything that dares come too close. Moons are twisted, fractured, broken apart over time. Some scientists believe those rings you're looking at are the remains of something that got too close. A moon, torn apart, reduced to debris. And this is where things change again. Because gravity doesn't just destroy, it traps. If you were caught between Saturn and its rings, you wouldn't fall cleanly. You would be pulled in multiple directions at once, torn between competing forces, your path bending, shifting, collapsing unpredictably. You wouldn't know which way is down, because there is no down, only pull. But that's not even the worst place Saturn can send you. Far beyond the rings, past the outer moons, there are regions where gravity from multiple bodies overlaps, creating chaotic zones where orbits become unstable. Objects collide, paths cross, and anything caught there becomes part of a slow-motion disaster. But even that still gives you time. Time to drift, time to fall, time to wonder. There is a place in our solar system where time itself turns against you, where survival isn't measured in minutes, but in milliseconds. And once you're there is no escape, because the danger doesn't come from storms, or cold, or pressure. It comes from something far more invisible, far more absolute, radiation. And not just any radiation, the most intense natural radiation environment in the entire solar system, centered around a world that looks small, almost harmless, orbiting quietly in the shadow of Jupiter. A moon, Europa? No, worse, Io. From a distance, Io looks stunning, a swirling mix of yellow, orange, and black. Its surface painted with patterns that look almost artistic, like abstract brushstrokes across a cosmic canvas. It's alive with color, alive with motion, alive. But something is wrong. Those colors are scars. Imagine you are standing on the surface of Io. At first, it doesn't feel real. The ground beneath you is painted in violent shades of yellow, orange, and sickly green. The sky above is black, empty, except for one overwhelming presence dominating everything you see. Jupiter, massive, striped, watching. It fills nearly half the sky, hanging there like a god that never blinks. And for a moment, everything is still, silent, almost peaceful. But something is wrong. The ground trembles. At first, it's subtle, a faint vibration beneath your feet, like a distant heartbeat echoing through the crust. You might even mistake it for your imagination. But here's the problem. It doesn't stop. Io is the most volcanically active world in the entire solar system. Not occasionally active, not unpredictably active, constantly active. The surface beneath you isn't stable, it's alive, and it's being tortured. Jupiter's gravity doesn't just pull on Io. It stretches it over and over and over, again. As Io orbits, it's squeezed and released like a stress ball the size of a moon. The constant flexing generates unimaginable heat inside its core, and that heat has nowhere to go. So it escapes violently. The ground splits open without warning. Cracks tear across the surface, glowing from within. And then, an eruption, not like anything on Earth. Volcanoes here don't just spill lava, they launch it, hundreds of miles into space. Massive plumes of molten sulfur erupt upward, arcing across the sky before falling back down like burning rain. You don't run, you can't, because it's everywhere. And this is where things change. The air around you, if you can even call it, that is almost non-existent. Io has no real atmosphere to protect you, no buffer between you and what's coming next, which means you feel everything. The heat doesn't just burn, it engulfs. Lava flows across the ground in rivers hotter than anything your body could even register before shutting down. The surface shifts, collapses, reforms in real time. There is no safe place to stand. But that's not even the worst part, because Io's true danger is invisible. You look up again at Jupiter, and suddenly you understand. You are not alone here. You are inside something. Jupiter's magnetic field stretches far beyond the planet itself, wrapping around Io like a cage. It drags charged particles along with it, high-energy radiation moving at incredible speeds, and Io sits right in the middle of it. A constant bombardment. If you were here, right now, you wouldn't last minutes, you wouldn't last seconds. Radiation levels on Io are so extreme that they would deliver a lethal dose almost instantly. Your body wouldn't have time to react. Your nervous system would fail before pain could even register. It wouldn't feel like dying, it would feel like nothing. NASA knows this. Every spacecraft sent near Io has to pass through this radiation hell. Instruments degrade, systems fail, time is always limited. Even machines struggle to survive here. And you were never meant to enter this place. But it gets worse, because the surface itself is lying to you. Those colorful plains, they're not stable ground. They're layers of sulfur, constantly resurfaced by eruptions. Entire regions are buried, melted, and replaced over and over again. What you're standing on might not exist tomorrow, and beneath it, a world of fire. Io's interior is a molten nightmare, driven by gravitational forces so extreme they never stop working. There is no rest here, no cooling period, no quiet age, just constant violence. And this is the terrifying part. It will never end. Io is locked in this cycle, forever. But here's the problem. Even endless volcanic hell, constant radiation, and a surface that's actively trying to erase itself, still isn't the deadliest place in our solar system, because at least on Io, you know what's killing you. There are places where the danger is hidden, where you wouldn't see it, where you wouldn't see it coming, where the environment itself turns against reality in ways we barely understand. Places where space behaves incorrectly, and one of them lies much closer than you think. Closer than Jupiter, closer than Saturn, closer than the edge of your own survival. You don't need to travel to the outer solar system to find something that can erase you instantly. Sometimes, all it is getting too close to the sun.